Imagine a typical rush hour in a modern metropolis. Somewhere deep underground, in the main collector with the diameter of a railway tunnel, the steel reinforcement of the city has been operating for decades. This giant collects the effluents of the entire central district. The starting point of the disaster is the junction between the old section of the tunnel, built half a century ago, and the new, more modern section. Years of constant pressure, vibration from underground trains, and an aggressive environment have done their job. A microcrack appeared inside the joint. Today, at this very moment, this crack is not holding up. Not an explosion, no. It's a quiet but inexorable break. At first, it is a high-pressure jet. Then, in a matter of minutes, the joint collapses completely, opening a gap the size of a car. A huge, uncontrolled flow of warm sewage and stormwater will pour into the enclosed underground space, turning it into an underground river rushing into the heart of the city.
Effects. The chain of problems has been started and is developing at the speed of light. The first 30 minutes, the underground apocalypse. The flow washes away cable collectors, flooding high-voltage communication and power supply lines. Massive short circuits occur. The central regions are plunged into darkness. Water finds its way into the subway system. It floods tunnels, platforms, and technical floors. Escalators turn into waterfalls. The alarm and ventilation automation is out of order. The pressure in the main water supply running nearby drops sharply due to damage to the soil. The city is being deprived not only of sewerage, but also of clean drinking water. 2 to 6 hours. Surface collapse. Underground voids eroded by the flow lead to subsidence of the soil. Sinkholes appear on the streets, absorbing asphalt, parked cars, and bus shelters. Buildings whose foundations lose their footing crack. The glass facades of the lower floors cannot withstand the pressure of water and soil. Historical monuments that are not designed for such loads begin to deform irreversibly. Due to power outages and damage to towers, cellular communications and the internet are falling. The city is not only going blind and deaf, but also losing its voice. The alarm systems powered by the power grid are silent. 24 to 72 hours. Environmental and logistical crisis. Wastewater mixed with chemicals from enterprises and gasoline from gas stations comes to the surface, flooding streets, squares, seeping into the ventilation systems of buildings. The city is filled with the toxic, fetid smell of hydrogen sulfide and decomposition. Garbage collection stops. The food supply system, which depends on logistics and refrigeration units, is paralyzed. Products in warehouses and stores are starting to deteriorate. A flood zone is being formed, the central part of the city, which has turned into an impassable, toxic swamp with floating debris and hidden sinkholes.
Solution: survival scenario. The city will not die if you act systematically and quickly. Here is a 3-tiered strategy. Level 1. Immediate survival. First 72 hours. Water is priority number 1. Forget about running water. All sources are bottled water, boiler supplies, rainwater collection, only after purification. Any tap or outdoor water can only be used after boiling for at least 10 minutes or being chemically cleaned. Energy and connection. Use the power bank, car chargers, and solar panels. A battery-powered radio is your main communication channel with the outside world to receive instructions from the Ministry of Emergency Situations. Safe movement. Do not go down into basements and underpasses. Move along the central parts of the streets, staying away from buildings with cracks and the edges of the roadway where sinkholes are possible. Avoid contact with liquid on the streets. This is a chemically hazardous environment. Level 2. Stabilization and adaptation. First weeks. Creating collection points. The authorities and volunteers need to set up exchange points, medical aid, and humanitarian aid distribution points in non-flooded hills such as stadiums or parks. Local solutions. Citizens can unite in neighborhoods to create water filtration systems, sand and coal filters, organize patrols, and collect suitable resources. Sanitation. The key task is to prevent epidemics. It is necessary to build primitive outdoor toilets with deep pits away from housing and water sources. Garbage, especially organic waste, must be incinerated immediately under controlled conditions. Level 3. Return to working capacity. Months. The Great Drainage Plan. The city authorities need to mobilize all the pumping capacities of the country. The first task is to pump water out of the subway and key sewers to assess the extent of the damage. Creation of temporary infrastructure. To lay temporary pipelines and power lines on the surface, along the streets, in order to return water and light to the districts without waiting for the repair of underground utilities. Phased recovery. Start with the most important facilities, hospitals, heating points, and water treatment plants. Use advanced technologies, robot scouts to inspect blocked tunnels, and 3D printing to quickly manufacture parts of collapsed pipes. This disaster is a cruel lesson that the true strength of a city is determined not by the height of its skyscrapers, but by the depth and reliability of its foundations. And by rebuilding it, the city will become stronger, smarter, and most importantly, aware of its vulnerability.